Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to an ABW preview show. I thought about what I was going to say before I said that. Makes a change. I don't think I like it. With me tonight is Josh. You all right, Josh?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Danny. How are you?
I am fat, not wearing any trousers, and expecting a kidney stone. You're expecting a delivery anytime soon as well, aren't you?
Yes, I'm currently cultivating something similar to myself.
Oh, I think you'll have a lot easier getting rid of yours than I'm going to do getting rid of mine. I can feel it. Oh, I've been in pain for 5 days. People don't care about that, though, do they?
I think, to be honest, it's nicer than listening about the Arsenal for a bit at the moment, as we struggle to somehow winning a game that felt like a defeat.
Well, at least us two aren't going to be booing our own players. Something I have never done in all of the hundreds of games I've been to, because I'm not like that.
No, you didn't boo any of them when you were there, did you? And I was too hungover. I was too hungover to shout anything at the players. I just had a little nap.
You were too poisoned. We've been through this. You poisoned yourself with alcohol.
I did.
None of that shenanigans. Let's get on with it, shall we?
Get on with it.
Indeed. Right. Where can you see and hear the game? Well, good luck with this, people, because you're going to need trying to find this anywhere. They've clamped down all the lovely streaming services that people were providing, and so many people now have got absolutely no way of watching it. And I'd rather not watch the game than pay for the game. So in the UK and Ireland, nil point, bugger all. It's a no from me, Josh. Australia, because they don't really care about football down there. So it's on beIN Sports 3, beIN Sports Connect, and Kayo Sports. That's a new one to me. Now, I've added New Zealand because another English-speaking country, so you want to go and find English-speaking streams. There in New Zealand, it's beIN Sports Connect New Zealand. I don't know if there was meant to be a comma in any of that. That sounds like a big old name. In Canada, it's the same old DAZN. In the US of A, it's ESPN Plus. I think the plus means it's a channel they don't give a damn about. And today's surprise country is Slovenia, STV number 2. Do you know what Slovenian for number 2 is?
No, Danny.
Let's find out, shall we? Echo, what is Slovenian for the number 2?
I don't speak Slovenian yet, so I sent the translation to your Alexa app.
There you go. Basically, the internet doesn't give a fuck about Slovenia or any of your numbers. So it's not happening. Sorry, people. Can't say I didn't try. Josh, time for a head-to-head, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So in the last League Cup games, we have played Forest 3 times and won 3. They're quite spaced out, though. Although I think
slightly.
Yeah, I think we have played Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup in recent seasons, but in the League Cup, the last time we played them was in 16-17, where we beat them 4-0 away from home. Goals from Xhaka, Lucas Perez got 2, and the Ox got 1. Then it was back in 1992-93 season, where we beat them 2-0 at home. Both goals from Ian Wright, and we went on to win the League Cup that season.
We did.
And then the final time that we have played them, a little bit closer in time to the other one, in 1986-87, with another home win for 2-0, goals from Charlie Nicholas and Martin Hayes. And we also won the League Cup that season. So, Danny, it sounds like if we play them at home, we win the League Cup.
It's obvious. Yeah, that's it. Whoops-a-daisy, Martin Hazy and Champagne Charlie Nicholas. How old were you in 86-87?
-4.
I was 16 at the point of that game. I had hair. I could see my feet. Oh, life was glorious. If only they're going to had a TV with only 4 channels. Don't do it, people. Oh. Time travel. It's not what it's cracked up to be. Shall I do the last 5 home League Cup games?
Yeah.
For Arsenal, it's we've won 3. Drawn 0, lost 2, scored 7, conceded 8, and had 0 clean sheets. And in Nottingham Forest, last 5 away League Cup games, they take it a little bit more seriously than we do because it's a revenue stream for them. Same as ours, won 3, drawn none, lost 2, scored 10, conceded 12 with 0 clean sheets. So either way, I think it's going to be a bit of a slobber knocker. Josh, do the injuries.
All right. So the Arsenal injury list, we have got Hector and Tierney and Mavropanos are all short of minutes. They need a bit of match fitness, so it depends on where we might see them come in. Either they start the game or, well, we'll talk about it when we get to formations.
People will see. It's
they
exciting.
Will indeed. Laka has still got his ankle injury, and he is due back in October. and Ozil has got chronic fatigue syndrome.
It's lifting all that bloody money. It's not good for him. Is there any news on Ashley Maitland-Niles? Is it just a knock? I know he's suspended for one game.
I haven't seen anything on it.
No.
So he's suspended, as you say, anyway. So
this will be the one game.
That's an injury in some kind of capacity.
Yes.
And Nottingham Forest, unfortunately, Cole Jenkinson has got an ankle injury. Johan Benaluni.
There's a reason I got you to read these.
Yeah, I can see that.
I should have put some in and made them up.
And Michael Hefeli. Bloody hell, Danny. Tendaya and Ryan Yates are also all injured, according to the Nottinghamshire Live.
So don't blame me, blame them.
No. So, Danny, do you want to go through the Nottingham Forest formations as you wrote this lovely piece? And I'll go through the players to look out for.
Well, feel free to chip in on this because I have written. Forest are pushing for promotion, which is good to see because I'd like to see Forest back in the Premier League this season. Although they have lost their first league game of the season, they are undefeated in the other 7. They're on a bit of a run. In the league, they have played either a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-2-3-1. All that means is that rather than having 2 holding midfielders, they have one and the other one pushes up. And I think they push it up and then they push wide like that, like a Y shape out wide, which is good. But they've played 2 League Cup games, and both times they played 4-3-3. I think one was attacking, one was defending. They beat their local rivals, Derby County, 3-0 at home in the last round. Now because that's their big rival, apart from Notts County, but they're nowhere near them in league form or league indeed. So that's kind of skew with the entire thing, because I think normally if they were playing any other team, they wouldn't have played some of the players they did against Derby, but it's like us playing Spurs, they had to win it. So going by partly from the league, partly from the Derby game, I've surmised this load of shenanigans. Samba, their goalkeeper, who they just got from the Farmers League, seems to be playing in all the league and cup matches, so expect him in goal. Cash at right back, Yuri Ribeiro at left back, with Dawson and Worrell as the centre backs. There was one other centre back who has played a game, but I can't remember his name. Their midfield has changed a few times over the season for League Cup games, so possibly expect 3 of these 4 to play. So Ben Watson, João Carvalho, Samba Sao, Thiago Silva, not that one. I'm sure there's a famous player called Thiago Silva. This one I've never heard of. With Watson being my mustache is tickling me. But Watson being the one who drops a little bit deeper when they play the 4-1-4-1. Sammy Amiobi has started 7 games this season on the left wing, and Albert Adomoa has played 7 on the right wing. I think that's all. They've played every league game apart from 1, possibly. It might even be 8, because when I was checking Transfer Market, it didn't have the details on there. So it had 7 games each out of 8 games. And then I went back and had a look later and they hadn't updated it. So I think they've actually played all 8 league games each on the left and on the right. I think
with Sammy Amiobi, he's generally come on as a sub, because when we go through players to watch, I'll add in another one. But continue.
Yes, so that last game, I'm not sure what happened. Up front, in the League Cup games, they've started Rafa Mir, and I think he scored possibly 1 goal in those 2 games. But it's Lewis Graban, and if anyone has seen that Sunderland documentary, you see what a hell of a player that he is. He seems to be a bit of a behemoth up front, scoring goals everywhere he goes. But he's a busy bloke, been all over the place. So Graban has started all 8 league games, and who starts up front? It depends on how badly their manager wants to try and win the game. Josh, players to look out for, because I missed an important one, didn't I?
Yeah, that's all right. We'll start with Lewis Graban, as you've just mentioned, the journeyman striker who has played for 12 clubs and has 4 goals in 8 games this season. And you've already mentioned Albert Adoma as well. He's currently holding their most assists this season with 2. He's also got 3 goals as well. Michael Dawson, the man that is 35, was at Spurs with over 300 games for them and another 130 with Hull. So he should be used to losing to Arsenal with that kind of career. And then the final one I wanted to mention was Joe Lolly, who was their player of the season last year. He's played 7 games for them as well this season with a single assist, and has played 68 minutes in the EFL Cup and has got a single goal to his name as well. He's definitely one to look out for, I would say, in this game. He'll be on the wing for them. So he's probably, it's between him and Sammy Abiobi. Depends on how offensive or defensive they want to be. I would expect Lolly to come in. He's got a hell of a long shot on him, so I would say. So he's definitely one to look out for, and probably the most exciting out of that list.
I think when they were moving their formation around, the one who played on the right wing also played right midfield, but they didn't when you're just looking at basic stats and formations, it's hard to tell at what point they moved around. But right-sided midfield would have been a better thing for me to have said rather than right winger.
That's all right. So talking about positioning and formations, Danny, what are our formations that we've gone with?
I've shared the wrong one, haven't I? I'll just leave this up anyway. We both agree Martinez in goal. Now, we both agree Holding at centre-back. You can see this, can't you?
Yeah, I can see it as well.
It's lovely. Now, so we both agree Martinez and Holding. My moustache is tickling me underneath my nostrils, people. I'm not picking my nose. And then we both think Mustafi's going to start. I've got him starting as a right back, and you've got him partnering Holding in central defence. And you think that Tierney and Bellerin are going to start the game?
Yeah, I think we'll give them 60 minutes each for the game, really. They came through a reserve fixture
which they
only
played
last week.
63 each.
Exactly. So I'm expecting similar kind of figures to be in this game as well.
Yeah, I've gone and had a look back through because we've had about 4 or 5 players play at left back for the under-23s this season, probably 4. And I remember reading a George Bird article that said that Bowler has played it there in the past. And when I told you I've picked Bowler, you went, that's who George Bird has picked. So there you go.
Interestingly, who played there last week, though, was Xhaka. Xhaka played left back for the reserve team.
And then they drew 2-2 with Wolves. I think it was Wolves at the weekend. And they had, I can't remember his name, a different player playing there. So we all agree that we're going to go with the usual back 4, as in positional, not anything else. Midfielder, we've both got Willock starting in the central midfield. You have got Taraya, who are you having him playing a slightly more defensive role than usual? Because recently he's playing on the wing.
That's the thing. That's where I'd like him to play. Whether or not Emery decides that's where he's going to play him is 2 very different questions. But in the midfield,
somewhere between the defence and the attack. So we've got Willock playing there. I think Willock has to play because every time he's given a chance, he's done really well, apart from against Watford, where he was bullied by monsters in the central midfield. Now, playing is the attacking role. You've got Ozil, I've got Smith Rowe. I've gone for the logical Smith Rowe because he's a young and upcoming player. You've got Ozil because you know the poor man isn't well. I've heard he's got shingles this week. Do you really think he's going to play him in the League Cup? Isn't that a bit of a slap in the face for a World Cup winner? Say that. We've really glossed over Mustafi, a World Cup winner playing. No one cares about him.
No, I think he should really play it, to be honest. He's missed the last couple of games with what has been said to be we're resting him. So if we're excuses. Yeah, exactly. So if we're resting him for those, why don't we play him in the League Cup? Give something exciting to see as well.
I mean, he's got a face like a smacked arse most of the time. What's he going to be like on a cold, wet Tuesday night against a Championship side? Hopefully he'll score 10 and set up another 10.
Exactly.
Right, so up front, I would go start on the wings. We've both got Nelson playing. Nelson can play on either wing. And you've gone for Martinelli, who people seem to think is a striker. He's not. He's someone who can play all over the attack. When you're 18, you've not really defined your position, have you?
Yeah, and he's not really played anywhere but the wing for his club side. And you'd think if we went and spent that kind of money on him, that he's going to be a bit more of a keep him out on the wing for a bit like what Wenger used to do with those, before he brought strikers in field, he played them out on the wing for a bit.
Henry and Wiltord and who was that bloke we got? Kabadiawara, that was another one.
Oh, yeah.
That's a dodgy deal. So, I was thinking about Martinelli as well, but I love the combination of Judge John Jules and Balogun. I love them two together when they play. That's how they've been playing in the under-23s. Balogun slightly forward. John Jules, for me, should really be playing tucked in a little bit, or they play up as a 2. But I thought for balance, either of those two can play up front, and they can. I think with Nelson, Balogun and John Jules, all 3 of those could just quite happily move around like our current front 3 do. So you've gone the Judge up front and Nelson on the right. And would you at some point like to see Balogun get some time?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything but Aubameyang, basically.
Yes, because bloody hell, he has run his arse off for us, hasn't he?
He has indeed. And as much as we appreciate him getting us out of every game, there's a point where you're like, maybe you should just rest him a bit.
Much like me on Christmas Day, as much as I like roast potatoes and turkey, there is a point I have to say, for my own good, I'm not having any more. So that's what we're doing. Although he may get 5 or 6 goals in this game, the way actually no one will probably give him the ball. So yeah, I think we've got a similar kind of setup, similar kind of players in similar positions. I don't like the idea of Torreira playing. I don't want him to see him coming on as a sub, but there seems to be a problem, doesn't there? There was a reports that somebody said he's bored of playing as the or do we call him a defensive midfielder? What do we call him?
He's probably bored of playing his position because he's just running all over the place.
Yeah.
If we just put him in defensive midfielder, we know he'd have a hell of a lot of defending to do. He wouldn't get bored doing that.
That's why he doesn't want to do it. It's too much on his little shoulders.
Yes, too much DMing. That's his problem.
Yes, that's not good. Right, get rid of that. So what else have we got to talk about? We have got predictions. What's your prediction for the game?
I think, well, you know what? Looking at our current form, we're going to make it difficult, aren't we? We know that.
4-0 down at half-time.
I'd say something like a 3-2 again, like we saw against Villa. If Forest hit us hard, which they can do, and they've got a bit of pace on them, if we're not settled and perhaps we don't play those fullbacks that certainly I've hoped for, and we've got some more inexperience, or certainly in those positions, in someone like a Chambers or a Mustafi, they're someone who's not well versed in playing right back as Hector, basically, or as you say, shoehorning someone in at left back with the fact that Tierney is only just coming into the side. Kolasinac probably needs a rest. And then we've already mentioned 3 players that played left back for the reserve side already this season. So expect it to be an interesting game from that respect. And yeah, if they hit us early, we've seen how we've not really settled into the beginning of matches. That's where I get worried.
I think also we've got to take in consideration the fact that they are going for the league. They want to get promotion. Do they want to use any of their best players, playing them, wearing them out in the League Cup, when in the Championship you're playing weekend, midweek, all the way through the season? So they beat Derby. They've got some money from that. They had I think 27,000 turned up for that game, which is a massive gate for when you're in the Championship. So I think it's going to be a combination of that, plus with us wanting to get players fit like Tierney, Mavropanos and Bellerin, like you were saying, and also giving young players a chance, and then also trying to get our value from 350 grand a week out of Ozil. I'd make him play in all 11 positions. Oh dear. Anyway, so I'm going to go 2-1. Yep, I think we're going to score first. They're going to get another, and then we will somehow bring someone on and score a late winner. I don't think there's going to be as many goals as their form would suggest, because that goes back to the 1980s, and I don't think that's applicable anymore.
I think it might be a little out of date. I think from memory, they have 1-0 their way through their last 3 fixtures. So yeah, Barnsley beat them 1-0 at the weekend. Swansea they beat 1-0. The weekend before, and drew 1-1 with Preston. So not huge high scorers, but they've not played this Arsenal defence, and we know what can happen there.
There's my cat Bergie underneath my fat arm. There is Bergie. Oh, it's gone. Bergie. He's looked. Anyway, what a way to end the show. Tomorrow night's show, if anybody can find a game to watch, good luck with that. So Sophie is joining me and Jason, hopefully. Sophie's in America, so she will be able to find it on as many channels as she wants over there. But in this country, because it's our game, it's the game we all love, they are denying us the right to watch the game because they don't care, do they, Josh?
They don't care. They do not care at all.
Right. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon, Josh. It has been spectacular. Well,
it has been mediocre.
We've both got to go like little postmen and make little deliveries. So we will see you tomorrow night. If you are bored after you've watched this, go and watch John and Jason from last night's show. brilliant interaction with all the people. I think there's best part of 400 people there at one point. Chris didn't turn up because he was busy not watching streams, because he's better than that, Josh. He's not scumbags like us. He's better than that.
He'll only watch a stream if it's in French.
Yeah, in French and in 8K. And whilst he plays FIFA and takes no notice of the game anyway, while he's watching 9 games at once. Poor, it's not easy being a pirate, is it?
It's not at all.
On that devastating news, we'll bring this show to a close. And notice I never say without further ado. If you say without further ado on a podcast, personally, you should be banned from podcasting. So, up your bum. We're going away now. Goodbye.
Bye.